Greetings and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. It is July 16th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm doing great. I gotta ask right out of the gates, do you have your bags yet?
I don't. I have one bag. I have one bag. I have my golf bag, which is far less urgent. So I don't know how they got split up, how they ended up on different flights, but I could use a pair of socks, a golf polo, underwear, more than I could use a 5 iron. But I have a bag, and it's not the wrong one. I guess beggars can't be choosers. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We're still high on the views of Portrush and Royal Portrush, though. We're making it work. So, how about
A
you? Is your
game within the
ankle?
game, a
Is
game
your
within
ankle?
the game we missed on
Yeah.
yesterday was you with the claret jug getting lifted or your bag getting there first, you know?
I have I've taken a positive view that it's going to be here tonight. I really think it. I believe it. I'm manifesting it. It's just so hard to like know who you're even supposed to call around. You're just calling a guy, some Irish guy that's on the side of the road, and he has like your entire life, it feels like, in his hands. So that's where we're at. How's your ankle? For you got a big day of golf today on the West Coast. Is it okay after falling around by yourself out there?
My ankle's doing all right. I
Okay.
think it's as good as I could hope.
Yeah.
I've been following the protocols to religiously, and most importantly, we're in high spirits. Can't wait for tomorrow morning. High spirits. Never thought Lee Westwood would have another shot, but here we are. Westy, another chance at slaying the dragon, getting the major championship.
I mean, would you consider flying over here if he gets in the mix? You're not going to do anything like that. No gimmicks like that if he's in the mix.
I've had too much heartbreak, and I'm just too far away. If I was on the East Coast, I might consider it.
Yeah.
When you got to fly across the country and then fly
Yep.
across the pond, it makes it unfeasible. You wouldn't be able to pull the trigger soon enough, because
Right. Right.
by
It'd
the
be
time you'd
tricky.
have to pull the trigger on Saturday, and I've seen enough Saturday and Sunday meltdowns in my Lee Westwood fandom years to know better than to fly out.
Well, now that we've gotten, story A and B, luggage and Westwood out of the way, should we turn to some of the substandard stories, the sub stories? And that's Rory McIlroy coming home to Northern Ireland to Royal Portrush. I think he's the biggest storyline. It feels like we say that at feels like we said it at every major while the drought was going on. Feels like we said it at the Masters while that remains sort of the outstanding slam white whale of his career. But
We
I
said
think
it at the
just sort of
PGA when we were wondering if the floodgates were open and Quail
career
Hollow.
or the season slam, I guess. We were on that one. Remember that? Like 48 hours of complete and total delusion after the Masters. Like he might win all four this year. It's like, come on. We're back to earth. But
We
if this
took
one
Oakmont off though. He wasn't story 1A at Oakmont. It was Scottie.
he wasn't. That's true. He's definitely if it weren't at Royal Portrush, maybe he wouldn't be, but he's everywhere this week. He was everywhere in 19. We have sort of the scar tissue or the background of that 19 start, the 19 missed cut, the emotion, his sort of his feelings on it that he's outlined both this week and that week as he got emotional coming off the course. He's absolutely the biggest story. There's a reason he's home, he can win, and it's at maybe the greatest open venue going right now in the Rhoda. And he joined this elite company, right? It's been a long time. You think maybe like given the skill sets with some of the creativity at the Masters and an open, I'm not suggesting Links Golf and Augusta National are one and the same, but you think maybe this list would be a little more populated in recent years. But maybe it's probably just harder to win majors than it was in preceding eras.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think like there are a lot of things that play here. Obviously, he
Yeah,
had the immense heartbreak in 2022.
yeah,
He played well the next year, but he hasn't been really close at this major since then. I think that's at play. Obviously, the home atmosphere with Royal Portrush And of course they've never won at. And that they one of the things about you probably heard about this on Golf Channel's run a couple features on this, but the North of Ireland is one of the big Irish island of Ireland amateur tournaments that's every year held at Royal Portrush. A lot of great players have played and won that event, including Darren Clark. Rory never won that event. He shot that 61 happened in the event, but he did not win that year. So I
Crazy.
think like that's obviously at play winning. You probably last great chance. If you figure that if say it goes back in 6 years again, at that point he's
Yeah.
41. He might be a different point of his career.
Yeah.
This is his great chance at Portrush. And then you start to think about like ascending up the list of most major winners. Is you get to
Joins
six.
Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to six. There's 11 golfers that have won more majors in the history of golf. So if you get to six, you're with Phil Trevino. You just like once you get, he's at this point with major championship totals where every single one moves him into like a supremely higher echelon.
Yeah. There's all the narrative stuff about coming home, but I think, it feels like I don't want to say he's back. I think we saw a little bit of that in Scotland. Like it's the narrative, but also the game. Like we're seeing the top two-ish player in the world, three-ish player in the world this year, maybe the player of the year, kind of get it back going in. So it's the narrative plus the actual contention that we think. I know we say it a lot, but it feels like it's set up for him to be somewhere in the mix come Saturday and Sunday. And certainly the biggest anticipation.
What would be your storyline C behind Westy and Rory?
I think it's Scottie Scheffler. Boy, he sort of lit up the world here with his quote. I was shocked at today. I figured it might just be a media thing. We're talking about what's the point of playing the golf and the joy of winning is so fleeting. The achievement feels so fleeting. I listened to Padraig Harrington, who probably took Scottie's quote and added another 15 minutes on analyzing it on top of the already lengthy quote. But he was like, he's going to live with that one for a long time. Like it was an interesting quote. Of course you should enjoy it. Of course there's a point. Of course there's satisfaction in the achievement. And, he's like, of course, he agreed with them. Like when I was younger, I wouldn't stop and appreciate it. And the success was fleeting. And, Justin Rose was asked about it. He's like, look, he's 28. He's going good right now. He's got his whole career ahead of him. He's got to feel great. And he's got to feel like, he's done everything. But, there will come times that are harder and you'll learn to appreciate it a little bit more. So that quote wasn't just a media reaction. It's become a talk amongst the players.
One of the things I loved about the Rose response to it was his talk about like the joy and the satisfaction that I find from it is in the
Yeah.
process of getting better, the getting out of bed every day and going to work. That's the joy that I found because he talked about like I got to number one and I was like, huh, that's it. But I
Right.
thought about all the work and everything I did that I put in to get there, and that's where the joy of that process is. And I think, like, I don't know, I bet it's been an interesting response. Like, I think you get both sides of the reaction. Like, you've had people like, "Oh, what an incredible perspective," but at the same time, it's also like, well, you know. I think like the other side of it is like you could take it as slightly almost like entitled a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some contradictions in there. I do think there were like a million good points within it, and it's become a big
Yeah.
talk. And again, we talk about players talking to the media. Like, I'm not going to crush him or shame him for like he was ready to walk out the door, and that was his last question. And Doug kind of threw him like, "Have you ever been in a slump? And what did it feel like?" And he sat there and he thought about it. And he talked pretty much uninterrupted for 5 minutes. And the RNA, I think, at the prompting of his agent, were like trying to get him off there. But I really appreciate like sharing that. There were a bunch of good points in it.
And there is vulnerability in it. That's what you
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
from pro athletes is to like actually tell you how they feel. And it's so
Yeah.
rare that you get, especially pro golfers. I was talking to PJ actually on my long drive yesterday, and we were talking about this. I think some of it is with Xander, he brought up Xander's, like, I don't know where my trophies are.
Yeah.
I don't know where the gold medal is. I think some of this is like the psychology of golf,
Right.
and psychologically, you play your best golf. Most people play their best golf when they don't place importance on things and achievements in golf. That is like the psychological mindset that you want to get into. It's like you hear these guys always say, staying in the present, not
Hmm.
thinking ahead, not thinking about what this event, winning this event will do for your life or your career, where it will
Hmm.
be. That is, I think probably the hardest part about playing golf is not executing the shots. It's not knowing how far the 162 uphill approach with a crosswind is going to go in the moment. It is keeping your mind in the present moment so that you can execute the shots without thinking, losing track of, like, where your mind's going, thinking about, what could happen, good or bad. And that is the real challenge of tournament golf. It is that time, that immense amount of time between shots that you can put your mind in a pretzel. And I think some of these answers that you're getting, where these guys are acting, is their psychology work of trying to downplay these events and make them feel normal.
Yeah, it was a little bit also like Rory said at the Masters, like don't chase a score. Like how do you, setting the goal or setting the moment or setting the overall target of like standing on the first tee. That seems like it's going to be, counterproductive to the overall process. And so he made himself vulnerable, I think, in the quote. I don't know that there's much vulnerable about his game this week. We kind of go to the putting frequently with can he adjust? Is his putting weakness really exacerbated by the slower links greens? I talked to someone who said they didn't have the greens quite where they want them in terms of speed yet, but I imagine they will by the weekend, or by Thursday, Friday. So I think he's clearly set up to win. He's clearly set up. We have two players in Rory and Scottie that would be totally not surprising to see them cap a two major season this week. And do you have anyone else in that kind of category of this? Here are your three guys. Scottie's the favorite because of his standing, but is there someone else you'd throw in that first tier?
Other than Westy, I would go Jon Rahm.
Okay.
Three top fives
Okay.
at the Open in his career.
Yep.
He finished T11 in 2019 at Portrush.
Yep.
The last two starts of the Open, T2, T7. I think he's in top form. He seems to
Yep.
be in a great mood. I think one of the things you
Yes.
can always tell how Rahm is kind of running, based off of his mood. Sometimes he's
Yeah.
really grumpy, downtrodden. This week he is a happy boy. I saw he photobombed the
That was great.
golf.com crew,
I was talking to them
photo.
today about that. They couldn't believe it. They're like, wait, what? Who was that? Rob? Yeah. So he seems to be a happy boy of
Yeah.
Rob.
So
So
good spirits.
it's
I
yeah.
think this is a golf course that's great for him.
Yep.
And he's one of the four best players in golf, week
Yep.
in, week out.
So
Links golf seems to really fit his game.
Yep. So contra to I think Oakmont, where we were a little unsure of those top guys, we are coming into maybe one of the greatest championship golf courses for the pros in the world, with the top three playing well, feeling like they're in a chance to win. We've got the narrative aspects, the sort of the golf nerd aspects. I'm buzzing. I think this is it's maybe our favorite major. It's obviously unique coffee golf for the U.S. audience. Cannot wait. Ready to talk more about that golf course, that championship test on the other side of the break. We'll dig into some of our favorite holes at Royal Portrush. Welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. Andy, we are going to Royal Portrush this week. The host, 6-year turnaround, really fast since 2019. Feels as suitable as any to host an Open Championship, to host a major championship. The crowds are enormous, but this has really emerged, and we're kind of fortunate to have it back in sort of the public limelight. We got to play it last March on a tour of Northern Ireland, made kind of immediate and lasting impressions on our team at Friday Golf, and now we get to see it on television. It's really sort of a blessing. And what about it kind of jumps off the page to you that makes it so good beyond its reputation?
Well, it's amazing that this venue has kind of like re-entered the limelight in
Yeah,
the, you know, 2000s, right? Obviously,
right.
it hosted one major, one Open Championship before 2019. This golf course is just a blend of supreme topography, as good of land as you could find for a golf course, a sublime setting right there on the ocean, and then intricate golf design. I think the uniqueness of Royal Portrush is that it was built in the 1920s. This was at the height of the golden age of golf course architecture, and it was built by, he's not well known in America, but you can make an argument that Harry Colt, the architect of Royal Portrush, is the greatest golf architect of all time. So you put those together, and it is just an amazing test. I think the biggest thing that stands out besides the natural elements of it, are the green complexes. They are very sophisticated. They have sharp runoffs. There's steep for misses, and I think that's where it exacts a little bit more of a penalty for missed approach shots than a lot of links courses, a lot of its counterparts on the Rota. What stands out for you being on the ground this week?
I mean, the one thing for me is always just the variety of dunes, right? The variety of elevation change. We heard both Scottie and Rory talk about, or Scottie and Rahm talk about that on Tuesday, like contrasting Ireland with sort of the dunes courses they're used to in Scotland and other parts of the UK. And you really, even to the point where Rahm says, I'm hitting balls maybe high in the air to climb, is on that initial climb, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 as you ascend to the top of the course. Talking about how I haven't played a links course where I could stand on a tee box and see the entire course. And you're talking about the fifth tee, that majestic view down the coastline and across the property. For me, it's just getting back on the ground, and you could walk the old course and there's like these incredible humps and bumps that stand out in sort of the lawn light. But here it's just it's like you couldn't, you're doing the moguls, right? In the Olympics, like you could just bomb up and down, and then you have the massive dune on like sort of the exterior of that course. It's just, for me, you're so used to links courses just having sort of subtle rolling humps and bumps to the sea, and this is just, it's got the turf with all the modern construction you talked about, the greens and the drop shots and the elevation changes, and for me it's just the total package that stands out and sets it apart from other link settings. I also will say, like, it is different. The Irish links are different from turf wise from a lot of the what they played last week, Renaissance. All the players keep remarking, like, I can't believe how green it is. That doesn't mean it's soft. It's just green. I talked to the groundskeeper today. He said these are the best fescue greens he's ever seen. Someone who's been all over the world greenkeeping. He said these are the best fescue greens I've ever seen. And so there is a little bit of color. It has the links turf, and they're adjusting obviously the elevation change off of Scotland last week.
Yeah. It's the neat thing too is the town, the iconic dune.
Yeah,
That obviously seventh plays along, and how you can see that dune and the beach from town, like that
yeah,
connectivity almost to the beach and town. Let's get into some of our favorite holes. We
yeah.
each picked two. I'll get us started. This is going to be a hole that's a lot of catnip about this hole, but it is thrilling, it is fun, it is dramatic, it is beautiful. This hole checks off every box. This is a short par 4 fifth hole. You heard a lot of players talk about this in their press conference. This is going to produce a wide range of scores. So the fifth, it kind of plays on a diagonal. It's a very fascinating hole. It's drivable. You could get home with the big dog. Go for it. Maybe even 3-wood, depending on the wind. So you got to kind of, what is unique is how it's set on this diagonal. You have to pick your line. If you pick a line and you kind of bail out left, you could run through the fairway into the fescue, or you can just go with like the standard layup shot and leave yourself with a wedge into this green. What's probably unique most about the green is that it abuts that giant dune. I mean, if you go long here, you are out of bounds. You are going over and you are tumbling down onto the beach. The green is set right up on the edge. I mean, it is as close as you can get to the ocean on this golf course. One of the unique things about the green too is there's kind of a knob. That knob is on the left side. You can see it on the screen there on the right. That can kind of funnel balls that are going toward that left side of the green back into the middle and close to a back pin, or it can shed balls away, which leaves like a very awkward approach. I'm really going to be interested to see what the breakdown is of players that go for it versus players that just kind of hit the safe shot and lay back. Because like if you go for it, hit it long, I mean, you're bringing a double into play. If you go for it and find a bad spot, like you're going to have to play very conservative because of that out of bounds line right on the back of the green.
Yeah, it really it's probably the most it's the signature hole, but it feels sort of disrespectful to the course to say there's a signature hole out there.
I mean,
Go,
16's out there too. That's
it's up there. So we had to pick. We limited it to four. I went with 10 to kind of give a little publicity to the middle of the course. Like 4, 5, 6 is going to get a lot of the pictures. We got 16, the back stretch, really 14 through 17. You have two of like the greatest stretches in all of golf. You said on our podcast, our preview show, Shotgun Start, that you think the tournament might be won and lost based on scoring here in the middle section, 9 to 14. I'm going to go with 10 just to give it a little love here in the middle, like a dramatic, awesome dog leg from left to right. It's 450 yards. For me, what I love about this hole is it feels like if you hit the shots, you can make a birdie, right? If you can play, if you are controlling your ball, you can make a three. And what I love about it most is it sort of showcases the Colt routing where you were just out at the sea at number 5, and then you come back to sort of the internal choppy dunes. And for me, this is the best right here. It's the best illustration of like just a natural hazard. This is what the land had here. It's this incredible chop right in the middle of the course, and the hole is routed around it. And you can't carry it. You're not sending it over the dog leg into the out of fear of landing in this chop. And that's what I love about 10. It sort of showcases the variety of dunes with that chop and a green that sits low, right? We saw this is where Shane Lowry really made his bacon in 2019 with chopping it out of the left rough and running the ball into this bowl or lower level, lower lying green off the hump of the left side. So just so much going on here that I love, and just wanted to show some love to the middle of the course.
neat green, really neat green.
Yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
most fun. I think like if you said like with the one of my markers of a great green is like which green would you want in your backyard? That might be one of them that you would pick,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Good
it's
point.
just got like all these little pockets. It kind of sits down in a bowl. It's receptive in areas, but it also has these different pockets that are really hard to get to.
Yeah.
Overall, it's fairly receptive, but to get to certain little areas of the green, you have to be very precise, and then it leaves some really tough two putts if you get in the wrong areas.
Yep.
For my second hole, uh, 15 is one of the most dramatic holes on the course. 16 is, you're going to hear a ton about 16, the par three, and you're going to hear from Brendan about 16. And 17 is an amazing hole too. But to me, probably the most demanding hole on the way in is the 14th. It's a 470-yard par four, and it has this tiny tabletop green. It is as hard of a second shot as you will find at Royal Portrush. And I think this hole, you're going to see a wide variance of scores. This is a hole that is going to determine the championship coming down the stretch on Sunday because of just the severity of that green. As you can see, it sheds in all directions. The left side of that green is just it just ships you down. You'll end up way below the putting surface, and with a very, very challenging up and down. Just the drive is not easy either. It is a fairly narrow tee shot, and obviously with just the nature of it being 470 yards, depending on the wind, if it's playing into the wind, you're going to be hitting a very long approach shot into this tiny, very taxing green that kind of repels in all directions. So the 14th to me is probably one of the holes. It's not going to get a lot of love. Nobody's going to really like talk about the 14th and it's one of the great holes at Portrush, but this is one of the holes that is going to determine the championship. And it's a hole that separates. Like this is a golf hole that separates those that are playing really well from those that are maybe scraping around a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching the practice round. A lot of boys. That bunker was very crowded. Just guys throwing 4, 3, 4, 5 balls, hitting bunker shots out of that bunker because, I mean, it's like a sink drain, right? Just pulling the ball down into doom from if you miss your spot and get too far left on that green. Super cool. It's contrasting to 10, right? A green that's up, right? As opposed to 10, you were talking about feeding it around. We'll close it out with my second hole, the aforementioned 16th, nicknamed Calamity Corner, one of the greatest par threes in the world. Ranges in length, but it's a lawn. It's a lawn burly boy. Shane Lowry hit a 4-iron here to make an incredible birdie on the way in 2019. They have it listed as 236 yards. Obviously depends on wind. You can bail left, but then you're kind of terrified about, your second chip or chop onto the green. And I would say, I haven't seen every golf course in the world. I'm just wondering how is this the par three with the most natural, breathtaking asset, the most unique asset that's not on the ocean? You might see one today that has an incredible natural asset working with it, but I think this might be a fellow 16th. I was trying to think of other par threes that aren't on the ocean that have this incredible a natural asset or a breathtaking setting. Are there others you would throw out there with that valley that we see right there in the shadows? It's just remarkable to be there.
Off the top of my mind, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this, it acts as an ocean. I think that's the highest praise. Is that hazard acts. It scares you like an ocean because the last thing, it's almost worse because you have to climb down 60 feet down to hit your shot and then climb back up. I think I'm not going to reveal one of us experienced going down and having to hit the shot back up. I think like what's fascinating about this hole is like if you bail left, you get over there and you don't like where you are. And in this era of guys taking very conservative lines, everybody playing very conservatively, is there a calculus of where this line and where people aim? I think it's pretty safe to say everybody in this field is aiming at the left edge of the green. But if you miss left a couple times and say you make bogey the first 2 days from left, on Saturday, are you starting to shift that right a little bit and saying, I can't go over left? You get in these moments, and I think like what you want is you want a hole coming down the stretch where somebody has to do something miraculous. So if I'm 2 back and I'm heading down the stretch, I all of a sudden have to take on that giant gorge, we'll call it, the giant drop off. And I have to hit the shot with a 240-yard club with lumber, one of the hardest shots in the game. And I think that's what's amazing about this hole is that the theater of it only ratchets up as the tournament goes on.
Yep. Well, those are I don't want to say top 4 holes, but 4 holes to watch. 4 holes we're intrigued to see. You could kind of go 1 through 18. We could take a full hour here. We've done it on our YouTube page for sure, more in depth. But it feels like picking your favorite child. When we get back, after the break, we're gonna talk more about maybe the less heralded children, some of the mules that might be in this uniquely composed field. We'll talk about them after the break and give out a Cam Davis Award. All All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. We're bringing back a favorite Ryder Cup segment. We did the Wheel of Mules for the Europeans and the Americans. This is where we stock the wheel with maybe names that are less heralded, not the top three tier we talked about at the beginning of the show, and have to state a case. We have to make an earnest and honest case advocating for why they might win or contend. We're going to spin it. You don't know what we're getting. We have no prep. We're going to get a name out of the wheel and have to argue why they might win. You want to go first? Spin it for me, PJ. Give me somebody I got to go to court for here.
All right, here we go.
Give it a whirl. All right.
Brendan leading off from overseas. There's a lot of good names on here. I was very happy with the wheel selection. There's a lot going on.
It's a different field. Are you giving me Dustin Johnson? Oh my God. I gave him a nice head nod today on the driving by on the cart. I'll just say he looks calm, cool, collected, very relaxed, and as he always is. Dustin Johnson, what would I argue? Well, he's a major champion. I would suggest he's not a mule. He's a number one player in the world, lengthy number one player in the world, two-time major champion. We're all this talk of career slam. Could we be talking about DJ career slam as we go to Aronimink? Wow. He certainly has the driving capability to get in play here, and he's a former number one player in the world. I think he's got a lot to prove. Now, does he want to prove it? I'm not sure, but he's got a lot to prove. We'll see if he tries to go out and prove it this week. Love my talented DJ spin.
Would you call him an active golfer?
Yes. Yes. He's showing up and posting.
He's semi-retired, I would say. He's in like the consulting phase, like when somebody leaves a law firm that they're a partner of and they consult. I want to allude to something here, though. If he gets this done, if he wins this week, could you consider him actually a career Grand Slam holder because of what happened to him at Whistling Straits all those years ago when the PGA just stole the major championship from him?
I think that's a slippery slope to go down. But he's not, we've seen many semi-retirees try to win here. Tom Watson almost won in 2009. So this may be the major for semi-retirees to win. Let's spin it. Let's spin it again. Let's go with Andy. Give him somebody maybe hopefully more difficult than DJ, a former world number one. Spin it for Andy here, PJ.
All right.
I know who
I want Andy to get.
Who is it? Oh, my. Off first, 6:40 in the morning.
Off first, that could be a real advantage. Going off first, you could catch great weather. It could be calm, like get those no winds in the morning. Something goes crazy. I think like one of the things about the Open is it is the easiest major championship to win of all the majors because of weather. The draw can knock out three-quarters of the field can be just blown out to sea literally at Portrush. If you just catch a gnarly weather system, it can knock people out. Now, this is one of the great senior tour players. He does not play. I think there's something about, you get Patrick Harrington, you get him on a leaderboard, and there could be some intimidation. It could be like, a pitcher coming over from Japan. You've never seen their stuff. And these guys, Rory, Scottie, Jon Rahm, they haven't had to go toe-to-toe with Patty Harrington down the stretch at a major championship. And, you haven't lived until you've done that. Not to mention, the press will be happy people because they could ask him all sorts of questions like how to get your kids into golf. And he could go on and on about, the intricacies. I believe in the Open, he did give that great line about losing experience isn't all it's cracked up to be. With experience, you lose innocence. So winner in the press room and the top guys, they just haven't had to go toe-to-toe with Patty. I know Darren Clarke's worried about this, but, CJ might be worried about this, about to be at the Champions Tour. That's my case for Patty.
I love it. Last week we got Shador JB Holmes. I think we just got Patrick Harrington, like Hideki Nomo comp on this podcast, on this show. PJ,
I was thinking more Shota.
That's fine. PJ, let's spin it. Put you in the blender here.
let's see. You guys got, I would argue,
DJ.
layups for this wheel. So I think this
Those
could
aren't
go a lot of
mules.
ways.
Oh, here we
Here we go.
go. 2 weeks in a row for the
Two
mule.
weeks in a row. Thorbjorn Olesen, this is a guy, as Andy said, he's been through adversity. A guy who is not, has dealt with unexpected showers before. So if the rain starts coming down, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
This is a guy, he needs Ryder Cup points. He needs Ryder Cup points.
He
He's
does.
15th on the European Tour, on the European points list. This is a guy that can play his way into contention this week. He's got a very good grouping, alongside Matt Jordan. So, par is going to be in play, but he's a weathered veteran with Ryder Cup experience. He's on the bubble for the Ryder Cup. I think he knows he needs a big week. A lot of talk about Patrick Reed, a lot of talk about Sergio. I'll submit Thorbjorn Olesen needs a big week this week to try to make the Ryder Cup in September.
Love that. I love that we
wants to
Go
be
ahead.
low Olsen. That's the other thing.
Has to be
He
Low Olsen.
Yes. All right. That was a good little bit of fun with some of the lesser known names. We'll have some more after the break with the Cam Davis Award as we talk about the composition of this field. It leaves some big names in our world out, and we'll give out the Cam Davis Award after the break. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. While the Open may be our favorite major, and there's so much we love and respect about it, it does have a unique field makeup, and it claims itself, it bills itself as the world's major. And so you end up with a field that it's not chock full of PGA Tour players. You've got a lot of qualifiers from far-flung corners, for different tours around South Africa, Oceania, Asia, all across the world. So you get some unique names, a George Bloor type. I know you're all in on him, Andy, this week, or OJ the Juice, OJ Farrell. He's playing. So you get some unique names that you just don't see on the PGA Tour. But that leaves guys that we think are playing well, could win, bona fide major players just on the sidelines. And so we've nominated this as the Cam Davis Award. Cam Davis the last few years has been among the top 50 players in the world, winning in Detroit, and then nope, you can't go to the Open Championship. It's kind of an incredible. It had the game to win. It's just the way they build it leaves some guys on the outside looking in. So this year, tried to come up with some names of hard luck. I don't know if they're at the CUDA, but they're on the other side looking in and didn't make it in the field. The first ever Cam Davis Award. I know it's a big one. Rory got his award last night, but this will be just as big tonight. The Cam Davis Award. PJ, do you want to nominate yours first? Do you want to go? Who'd you have that got left out? It should be there.
Speaking of Danes and Ryder Cup contention, Rasmus Nergaard Peterson, Andy's favorite player in the world, it seems like some days. This is a guy that popped at the U.S. Open and ended up finishing a tie for 12th. He finished second in Puerto Rico earlier in the year. This is a young guy who is in the back half of the bubble that we talked about a couple weeks ago. 2 spots left on the European Ryder Cup team. Played with Luke Donald last week as kind of maybe a scouting trip in some ways, but not in the field this week. I was honestly stunned. I was going through the field before our live show last night to prep a little bit on Monday. I had every expectation that Rasmus Nergaard Peterson was in this field, but nope. Not to be for him this week. So maybe you have a lot of Danes in this field, but maybe arguably not the best one.
He's a young guy. Go ahead.
Missed out on the Nergaard-Norgaard matchup too.
Which like the ultimate game within a game.
Hate getting that. RMP's a young guy. I don't have a lot of sympathy. I feel like he's going to play a lot of opens. Where I get like Cam Davis, guy mid-career, and this is playing a career year or one of his career years, and he doesn't get a chance to play the Open. For my nominee, I'm going with the Bridge Man, one of our favorites on this podcast. The Bridge Man, the bridge to nowhere this week. We're not going to the Open. We're not going to the CUDA. We're sitting at home. Guy is, and I'm not suggesting the R&A or the Open Championship operate on anything close to giving FedEx Cup rankings or points some sort of giant stature or priority. But the guy is 30th in the FedEx Cup. He's literally going on the precipice of getting to Eastlake, having one of the best seasons on the best tour. He's a top 70 player in the world. He's been one of the better 40 players in the world since about March 1st. And like, it's just stunning to see someone who's played so well. And contra to RNP, like, the bridge man may never be back. This may just be his shot. Fair. And he's playing well this year, and he's not in the Open. 30th in the FedEx Cup, and he's outside looking in. Andy, do you have a nominee for your Cam Davis Award this year?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a social media star. The Open's all about commercialism. One of the undertones is commercialism, getting the fans out there, packing fans. There's one player that's not in the field that is sure to put fans in the seats, and that's Jake Knapp. He does it in America. He'll do it abroad. He has played. I feel like his results don't merit how well he's played. There's been a lot of disastrous Sundays. Most recently, he had a disastrous Sunday at the Genesis Scottish Open, where he kind of bombed out of earning a spot in this week's Open. He needed a birdie at the last hole. Didn't happen. Ends up not getting a spot. But, one of the things that I appreciated was he seemed to be fully embracing the links golf journey. And I think that, Jake Knapp, he should be in this field for more reasons than one. But like next year, if they're doing that 12-person qualifier on Monday, I would imagine Jake Knapp's going to be in that.
He had the spot on his club on the 18th at Renaissance Club last week at the Scottish. He just didn't get it done. But yeah, he's been playing well. He's on the outside looking in. After the break, we're gonna pick some guys who are firmly on the inside looking in. We're gonna pick some winners. We've been hot here. I mean, I don't want to say we're a preeminent gambling show, but our hammers and locks have been hitting. So we're gonna pick our picks for the final men's major of the year after the break. All right, welcome back to Eye on Golf with the Shotgun Start. It's a great week, this major. We're so pumped for it, but sadness looms right after. Then we have to wait a long winter for the Masters, our next men's major. But we're going to cherish the week we have, make some picks now for Royal Portrush. I'm going to lead us off here. I'm going with Jon Rahm. We alluded to his fit in the first block of the show. He's coming in as a happy boy. Played well at Valderrama last week. Has gotten back in the majors ring with a battle as Paul McGinley got back in the ring, threw some punches at Quail Hollow. So he's flying a little bit, and he seems completely dialed in, playing well, and wants to be back on that major championship stage. So I'm going with Jon Rahm as a great fit for Portrush this week. PJ, who do you like at Royal Portrush?
This guy called Royal Portrush his favorite links course in the world. I'm taking that to heart. Never missed a cut in the Open Championship. I'm taking Big Shot Bob McIntyre, trending to second at the U.S. Open. He's been around in majors, 2 top 10 finishes in the Open so far. So hoping he gets across the line this week.
Andy, take us out. Who do you like for the last pick of the year major?
I'm going to take Victor Hovland. A lot of people talk about home games. This is pretty close to Norway for Victor. It is pretty close. He's been sniffing around at a lot of majors. He's playing, I think, seemingly finding his game. He obviously was played in the final group at the Old Course in 2022, so he can play this style of golf. 4 top 4s in major championships. Arguably the best player without a major, best active player. Outside of Westy. I'm not
Westy, that's a tough one.
Westy, but yeah. So I think he's a guy that's going to get a major. It just matters when. And this could be the week. This golf course fits him well. It is going to be a supreme ball striking test, and he's among the best at that.
Recent Shotgun Start podcast guest, Victor Hovland. He was a delight to talk to against some other podcast guests. So we got Rahm, Hovland, and Bobby Mack are our picks to be the 4th pillar in this graphic after a great men's major season. We can't wait to watch this week at Royal Portrush. Talk to you next week.